Hello and welcome to this lesson on how to use Shodan to passively map an organisation's external facing assets. My name is Blake Jacobs and I'm an educator at Mozzo Cybersecurity Institutes. So let's have a look at what is required for this to be a successful pass. So the actions and specifications required for a pass is to register a free account on Shodan. We also need to learn how to search for large organisations by keywords and domain names. We also need to identify third parties that have integrations into large organisations that you selected. And also identify external facing assets that belong to the large organisation. We also need to manually export the results to a CSV file. And we need to use Excel to highlight in red the cells that could contain suspicious or dangerous vulnerable assets. Let's have a look at the PowerPoint's presentation here. So here is the agenda for today. I'm going to explain an overview of Shodan, what is a passive scan, and why it is important for organisations to conduct threat intelligence. We're going to also be talking about what is an external and internal facing asset, and then we're going to go through a technical demonstration. Shodan is a search engine designed to map and gather information about internet-connected devices and systems. Shodan makes it possible to detect devices that are connected to the internet at any given time, the locations of those devices and their current users. It's also good for finding out vulnerable services and lots of other interesting things. It's a very powerful search engine. What is a passive scan? Now, a passive scan is a method of vulnerability detection that relies on information gleaned from the network data that is captured from a target computer without direct interaction. For an example, with an Nmap scan, you are actually doing an active scan because you're actually interacting with the web server, such as banner grabbing and things like that. But a scan like spidering through a website passively without making any interaction, just by collecting the URLs in the the HTML and going from each, like basically crawling through the website passively without making direct interaction they're all to do with passive scanning. But an active scan would be using a vulnerability scanner to map out an entire organisation and find any flaws or vulnerabilities in the services. They're active scans. But a passive scan is also good for Shodan. It's also pretty much what Shodan is, because what you're doing is you're just browsing through the Shodan engine on what could be vulnerable, so using keywords to find out vulnerable devices or IoT things. So I think it's IoT, which is Internet of All Things. Why is it important for organisations to conduct threat intelligence? A threat intelligence team can integrate threat intelligence into an organization's foundation to lower security response time and allows the company staff to focus on other essential things or tasks. By analysing such cyber threats, the organization can determine whether the security defense systems can block such an attack. Threat intelligence is very, very useful. This is a good one. What is an external and an internal facing asset? Now, an external facing asset is a server that can be accessed publicly. These can have vulnerabilities such as unauthenticated Jira instances, which are prone to SSRF vulnerabilities. SSRF is server-side request forgery, which we'll probably go in a bit further in another video. Or unauthenticated Jenkins instances, which can lead to remote code execution via the script engine. So you put in a dash script. If that's unauthenticated, we can then execute commands on behalf of the system using Java. Either sensitive files or open cameras and many more. Now, what is an internal facing asset? Well, this is a service of some sort that is internal and should not be public. These are often come by the domains corp, UAT, production, or corp, or sandbox. These are very interesting domains that might contain internal facing assets. Okay, so let's look at a technical demonstration. Now with Shodan, this is what it looks like. So we've got obviously the the top tab up here, which can be used for developers. If you go to developers, we have, easy integrations. We can even use the API to create our own applications, or we can install the client command line friendly application, which can help us find interesting things a lot quickly using Linux or any sort of terminal. This is very, very good. Very good here. We won't go through that in this video, but this is very good and very useful. So we'll click on Get Started, and here's some of the programming languages they support if you want to program with Shodan. Python, Ruby, PHP, C++, Go language, and many other languages. To register, we just need to simply go to, well, I've got an account already, but you can just go to my account. I'll just log out so I can show you how to register. So if you go to register, you'll be able to fill in the information such as your username, which is required, a password which is required, and you just confirm that password and the email address and go to create. That will send you a verification email. You just confirm that email and should grant access to the website. And let's show you what is included in the website. Obviously an API key, but this, if this is public, it doesn't matter. I can just reset the API key, so this is nothing you need to worry about. You can't use that because I can regenerate it, so it's all good. Let's go back to Shodan. So what I'm going to do is I prefer the beta version just because it's got a lot more features. It's just more user friendly. So if we want to say specify an organization and we want to find out information about an organization, we can type in org and say Google, right? We'll search for all Google's assets. So I'll just zoom in here so you can see that. So what we're doing is we're typing org and then a double column and then Google. And that's going to search for all the Google's infrastructure, all its IPs and everything. So as you can see, Google has over 6 million hosts in the United States, and it tells you the open ports and the top organization, which is obviously Google Cloud, which has a lot of customers and might have a lot of vulnerabilities too. Okay. So say we want to find unauthenticated Jenkins instances. We can type in X Jenkins, and then we want to search for a 200 OK, a 200 response code. So if we do that, these are going to be all Jenkins instances. Obviously you can see there's quite a lot on Google, but I'm assuming they're all from Google Cloud because Google would pretty much have all these tightened up, pretty secure. They would have their Jenkins instances that are password protected. A lot of these will be from the Google Cloud because they're customers that belong to Google. So for instance, we can open up this one here, this dashboard, and it shows you what ports, obviously Google user content, which is it's obviously a client of Google. And if we look at these ports, it's also got Elasticsearch there as well, which is on port 1900. So we click on that. Should go down to 9200. So nothing we can do is we can type in the IP and go 9200. This is actually Elasticsearch. Sometimes if these are unauthenticated, they can lead to some bad vulnerabilities, which this one isn't opened. But the Jenkins instance is on, I think, 443. No, actually, I think it's on 8080, my bad. Or 80, so we'll just go to 80. So this would be an authenticated Jenkins instance. If not, it might be on port 443. So if we go to here, just click on this little I button here, and it will navigate to that service. Let's try Jenkins. Let's try this one. Let's open up a new tab. It's playing up a bit, so we might as well just go to the normal Shodan. We won't go to the beta. So again, we just type in org Google to search for the company Google, and we'll do Jenkins. And this, I think the beta might have a bit of a problem. That's why it's called beta. Unless it's something to do with my ad blocker, but it shouldn't be. Let's click on this, and let's go to much better. This is much better. This is what we're after. So let's click on this, and as you can see, there's a Jenkins instance, which is open. The dashboard is open. We could try and log in as admin and try and access the script endpoint. If we try and access the script endpoint now, it's actually it requires login, so it would be a 403. We could log in with admin, but I don't want to take the risk because this is not my domain to test. But this is a typical example of an unauthenticated Jenkins instance. This would be an external facing asset because it's public. Internal would be something like if you had, say, an ORS EC2 instance open, which is internal because we're not supposed to be accessing an online VPS, which is an EC2 instance. You can find a lot of external and internal facing assets on Shodan. Another example would be to look at maybe, I think it's port, trying to think of the port. You can actually do ports by doing ports. Typing in the ports, and you can type in 22. Now, if 22 was open, if there was a 22 was obviously SSH. If there was an SSH box that was unauthenticated, that would be an internal facing asset because they have left their SSH open. Their SSH credentials they have none. So that would be an internal facing asset. So obviously you can see ports 22. There is there's actually about 3 in total. So if we open up this one, this should say port 22. Well, they've actually got a lot of ports. Actually, I think it's port. Sorry, not ports, port. Yeah, it's port. Sorry, but my bad. It's port 22. This would have so SSH to there's quite a lot, but I assume these would be protected. If you want to try and SSH into the box, you might be able to, but that would be against the law. This is just if you had permission to test this target, you could. And it even tells you down the side here some vulnerabilities of the server. So remotely observable behavior in auth.gss2.c. So there's a C library here, or a C. So there's a file in here that is programmed in C that is vulnerable to some sort of CVE, which is CVE 2018. 15919. So a good thing about Shodan, it tells you some potential vulnerabilities. Not always are these true because it could be fixed but not update the CVEs, but they will also tell you the vulnerabilities that the server may contain. Very useful stuff. It tells you the city, the country, the organization, internet service provider, and the last update. Also host names and ASNs. ASNs are very useful. These are good for like if you use AMAS to actually find out more root domains of a particular website. So when we talk about that could be in another video. But yeah, like if you want to just search for headers, say we want to search for a location, and we want to search for location Yahoo. We can also search for location Yahoo. So anything in the response that has Yahoo, it will search for. Location is a redirection header. So if we find something in the location of Yahoo, it means that some place is directed to Yahoo. Let's go to Shodan to do this. There's none, but let's try Google. Oops. None for Google as well. But what you see is if you type in, say, or if you type in, we can go to Explore, but we can actually search for what's in the response too. So here is our Explore, and here is a list of commonly searched things. So you can search for databases, and we can search for MySQL databases that might be opened just by typing in product and then the product name. So here is a MySQL database that you can find here. But typically when you're working with a company, you'd always put org and the company's organization, just so you're not testing out of scope. And if you want to download and if you want to export out something, you can click on the host and you can view data. And you should be able to export out the information provided in your sheet, which contains a lot of useful information. Like, it's cPanel, it's using cPanel, things like that. These are basically all this would actually be represented in JSON if we were to search this in the client application. There's a lot to learn about Shodan, and I could make a video that goes for like an hour, but I just want to keep it short and smart and consistent, and I would love you guys to just use it yourself. It's so powerful. Use it yourself, figure out all the core features, just make your own searches. There's a lot of websites out there that have search functionalities. Like if you go to GitHub, you can actually find out a lot of Shodan searches. But this is a very powerful search engine. So yes, that is the video, and I would like to say a big thank you for being a part of the community. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have learnt lots, and I will see you in the next video. Catch you later.